The Nintendo Switch OLED model is the first major upgrade to the hardware of the Nintendo Switch. But all of this being said, is it really worth it to spend the extra $50 for the Nintendo Switch OLED model? Do existing Switch owners need to bother with this console? Should people who want to buy the Switch for the first time really think about getting this instead of the regular Switch? My name is Dan, and today I'm going to help you figure out whether or not the Nintendo Switch OLED model is the Switch for you. The most notable upgrades are the front-facing speakers that are slightly bigger, the OLED screen, which is the namesake of the console, and a better kickstand, which I think is my favorite upgrade. Let's start things off by talking about what convinced me to buy myself the OLED model. Before this Switch, I had a launched Nintendo Switch, which was getting a little worse for wear. The thing worked perfectly fine, but for some reason, whenever the fan spun up, it would just make this horrible buzzing noise, and it drove me insane. But I was able to trade in my old Nintendo Switch for this brand new OLED Switch with a better screen at a very big discount. And even though I've had the console for just a few weeks, it took me just a few days to realize that this is the Nintendo Switch for the player on the go. Gamers who are seeking a high fidelity experience while they're on the bus or on the train or anywhere else that they've played their Nintendo Switch that isn't their home. And aside from featuring a brand new dock, which by the way will be available separately, at least according to Nintendo, I haven't seen it on sale just yet, the OLED Switch doesn't do anything different from the Nintendo Switch that's been out forever. That being said, if you play the Switch around the house or in bed or on the couch or whatever, then it would be a little more worth it to you than most because you're using it in handheld mode. So when you're making this decision, you have to ask yourself whether or not you're going to be playing on the go often, because that really will help you decide. And from there, you have to ask yourself, do I want a colorful Nintendo Switch that I can't dock, but it does go in my bag really easily and it's smaller and kind of fun? Or do you want the prosumer level Nintendo Switch that looks really good on the screen and the sound's a little better and it's a little heavier, but you need that experience on the go? Is that the kind of gamer you are? And if it is, then the OLED Switch is the Switch for you. If you want the ability to kickstand this thing back and lay it on a table for an hour or so, then this is the console that's gonna let you do that. You're not gonna have that flexibility with the Switch Lite. And ultimately, above all of this, if you are just playing this console docked, then I encourage you to go find a used Nintendo Switch, a regular Nintendo Switch without the frills or without the colors, and just play that. There's no difference in this when it's docked. It's the same console. If you want that fancier dock, it's gonna be available on its own. So you will be able to get your LAN connectivity with your old Nintendo Switch. I can't stress that enough. Needless to say, I do love this console. The screen is gorgeous and everything looks really good on it. I finished Metroid Dread using it. The transfer process was a bit of a pain in the neck, especially if you're an Animal Crossing New Horizons player. Besides all of that, it really wasn't that bad, but you really do need to keep that in mind when you're also thinking of upgrading from an old Nintendo Switch to this one. I was lucky enough to buy the Nintendo Switch OLED in the store, bring it home, have my Switch and the new one, transfer everything into it, and then bring my old Switch back, and they gave me the discount as if I traded it in right there at the point of purchase. So I was very lucky to have that situation, but you have to keep in mind that if you're gonna trade your Switch in, it's not always so straightforward to transfer things off of the old Switch onto the new one. But besides all of that, I hope I helped you make this decision today. It's a big one, honestly, because it's a brand new console. Folks are really excited for a pro level Nintendo Switch, something with better frame rate and better processing power, but what we got was a slightly better version of the same thing. I would be both shocked and angry if Nintendo wound up releasing a Switch Pro that had better frame rate for Breath of the Wild 2 or something like that. I would be surprised if they came out with a new model within the next year after releasing this one so soon, but it's hard to say what they could do with this Switch. I mean, they know it's gonna sell. It's a really good video game console. The games are great. No matter what kind of player you are, you'll find something you enjoy. So Nintendo can kind of do whatever they want here, and that's a little scary, but so far it's been pretty okay. And I'd love to hear what you're planning on doing with the Nintendo Switch in the comments. Are you planning on getting the new one, or are you just gonna stick with your old one, or are you just gonna go ahead and get a Switch Lite as your first Switch? Let me know. I'm really excited to talk about this. I think there's plenty of ways for people to go on this, and I don't think there's any one right answer, and this is the best kind of discussion to have. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck on making this decision, and I will see you in the next video.